Welcome to our meeting this morning. And I ask Yvonne to put up the agenda, please, for today so that you can see that everyone in our region has access to as well. So we're excited to have them. We also have some guest presenters to talk to us about eSports, what's going on in our county, and the energies, efforts, and resources behind that. And so we wanted to share that with this particular group. Then we also have San Bernardino City Unified, who is going to just give us a quick update on how they're utilizing the micro internship toolkit, and in a very unique way. And so we're seeing people really adapt that toolkit in different ways. And we thought we'd ask them to share, and then maybe that would spark some new ideas for your areas. And then Michael's going to be sharing with us the community college campaign that he has been spearheading for county schools in getting that information out, as well as some resources. And then at the very end, if you remember correctly, I'd sent out a survey about a month and a half ago, asking people to fill that in, basically looking for an understanding of what our district's priorities going forward, career readiness priorities going forward will be. Because as the Alliance, we want to make sure that we are aligning to the work of the districts and making sure that we're supporting them in what we do.
Anyway, good morning. I'm Kim Terry. I'm a coordinator with the Alliance. I get to the honor of introducing our partner spotlight. Today, we are going to spotlight Mojave Environmental Education Consortium, and they are headquartered at Mojave Desert Air Quality Management District in Victorville. And their mission is to link teachers with high-quality environmental education resources to improve environmental literacy of California students. So I'm going to introduce Samantha Murray, who's a program specialist. I believe you should be able to share your screen if you have a PowerPoint or whatever.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Okay, so with MEEC, so for those of you who aren't aware, MEEC is the Mojave Environmental Education Consortium, and we're based out of Victorville. We pride ourselves, our goal is to provide high quality STEM and environmental education to our high desert teachers. So that is our main goal. That does not mean that we don't have resources that are available for other teachers as well, and I'll get into that further into the slideshow. We are able to do everything for our educators completely free of cost through our sponsorship donations, and our sponsors we have over 30 public, private businesses sponsors from our high desert community. Let's see, we're gonna okay, there we go. So like Kim said, our mission is to improve our environmental literacy up here in the high desert. But we also want to make sure that our community members are maintaining a sustainable Mojave Desert region. Our boundaries, for those of you who aren't aware, our specific organization boundaries are the entire high desert region of San Bernardino County and into LA County, so Palmdale, Lancaster, and we also head into the Riverside area of the Palo Verde area down there in Blythe. So we've got a big area. We service over 24 public school districts, but all of our programs are available for public, private, and homeschool communities as well. So why environmental education? Environmental education improves discipline problems. I've seen that firsthand. I used to work in outdoor education, and it's a huge difference from what you get from students indoors, outdoors, and when you're really immersing them into environments and into situations that they can directly connect. Our educators are learning new approach and teaching techniques through what we are doing, how to connect that real life connection to their students, especially being able to utilize areas in their backyard. And because we are doing something different, it helps the students build essential life skills, critical thinking, problem solving, looking at their visions. And how we are going to protect and conserve our natural resources for future generations. I'm sure you guys are all well aware, environmental green jobs are going to be the wave of the future. They're coming in hot. And through our resources, we're actually able to develop an interest with these students and provide educators with resources to keep their students interested, as well as being able to meet state standards through making that connection. Some of our programs, again, these are entirely free that we have available, and we are ready to get these on the ground running again in next school year as things start to return to some bit of a normal. Our ENVIROBUS Bucks transportation grants. Now this is for specifically for our educators up here in the high desert. We provide field trip funds to go to a variety of sites to get these kids hands-on learning in their backyards. We've got cement mines, wastewater reclamation, power plants. We've got some zoos and farms for our younger kids to meet their educational needs, as well as other nature preserves, national parks. We've got about 30 sites on this list to choose from, and MEEC will cover the transportation cost for this for to and from your schools, because we know that can be a bit of a burden sometimes. But again, we want to get these hands-on in the field, getting that interest, seeing what people are doing in the field for these jobs, firsthand experience for these kids, whether it be a power plant operator or whether it be a national park ranger. So these are just some of our trips that we've offered. Mojave National Preserve. We've got Mitsubishi is a very popular one too for the kids to see exactly what goes on in the building materials. Another option that we have is we do have art educator workshops. We host up to 10 workshops every year for our teachers throughout the Mojave Desert, Lancaster, Victorville, Hesperia, Barstow. We go out to Baker, Needles, Blythe, Palmdale, Lancaster as well. We usually have about 200 teachers that attend throughout the year. And all of our workshops are aligned with standard-based education. You receive information that a lesson you can take back directly through mining, renewable energy, STEM, and everything again is entirely free of cost. Nothing out of pocket for our educators, because we want to get that materials to you so you can teach the next generation. We also offer some contests for our students to participate in, so that we're doing that cross curriculum with an environmental science aspect, but we're also getting your writing and your researching in. Now, these are contests that on natural gas, renewable energy, recycling, habitats. So really, we've got a wide variety of what we're encouraging our students to research. And they get to essay, poster, or video contests we're doing, and they get recognized by the sponsor of this as well. So we make a big deal out of it, because it's really difficult I know for our teachers to fit this into their schedule. So we make sure we recognize our students and our teachers for participating in that. Our newest addition to our program offering is our Environmental Maker Faire. So what our Maker Faire does is it introduces STEM. We still have our focus on STEM, and we're also focusing on maker education. Why we wanted to do maker education is we wanted to make sure that we were hitting all of our kids. You know, some kids are great with something specifically for the environment, but some of them just, the tinkering is really what we want to encourage with these kids through our Maker Faire. So we bring in maker technology. We've got drones that are coming in. We've got solar cars. We have makey. We're getting a lot more of the computer design aspect into it. We're bringing in 3D printers, really just encouraging these kids to utilize and see what tools are out there that may not be in the classroom. Now, our Maker Faire actually also gets a chance for our students and our teachers to connect with industry professionals. So they're not just talking to people like me, we're bringing in people from the mines, people from the aerospace to come and work with these kids and talk to them about their careers, talk to them about what they really are doing, what career paths led them to where they are. So we're doing the robotics in there, and we keep that environmental connection. So if we are doing renewable energy, we're talking about how does renewable energy help the environment. We're talking about how we can work with air pollution. Well, why is air pollution something we want to focus on, you know? Same thing with our water conservation. So everything that we do while we're playing and tinkering, we have that connection to the environment. Our solar oven cook-off is one of our programs also as well. This is in its 8th year. This year we were able to do it virtually. And this is a challenge that challenges students to build and design a working solar oven. As you can see, you've got some examples. They cook food. It's all temperature tested. So it's very scientific process on researching your solar oven, designing it, testing it, and then the judges get to taste it, and they get prizes for it as well. And I mean, these kids, it amazes me because they know their stuff. They can tell you why they put the angle of the plexiglass at a certain level, and it's amazing. And it's really nice because our judges for this, again, they're industry professionals. So we're pulling our engineers from our solar companies. We're pulling our engineers from our mining companies. They're coming out and they're working with the kids and helping them as well, guiding them through the process and how they can test and adjust their oven to hopefully come back for future competitions with an improved design. We also like to help our teachers with getting some funds to be able to do some projects. You know, we know money is extremely tight, and when you've got this really cool project that you want to do, sometimes it's just not in the cards budget-wise. So we have our environmental mini grants program, which if it's got an environmental and STEM connection, we want to be able to help get that in the classroom. So here we've got an example. This was a school in Hesperia. She wanted to do some hydrogen fuel cell cars to teach about renewable energy. We've funded some VR headsets to really create that in-person connection, since especially this year we weren't able to get everybody out. So this one covers a little bit of everything to really make sure our teachers have the resources to educate our students. Our school garden grants, we fund up to about 40 school gardens a year throughout our entire region. This is a really fun one because we get a mixture of what the students want to do. You know, we've got focus on hydroponics are coming up really big, because again, we want to talk about our natural resources and how we can conserve them. But we've also funded grants for gardens for like cooking classes, because they wanted to start a school garden to get their herbs and their spices set up so that they would be able to take that back into the classroom and actually utilize and do a farm to table type of lesson. For our high schools, we do offer scholarships for our graduating high school seniors. Our environmental science and engineering high school scholarships, we offer up to 5 scholarships. These are, right now we're focused on students that are majoring in an environmental science, engineering, or closely related field. However, we are actually taking a step for the next year to work on increasing a scholarship for CTE education, because we know that a 4-year degree is not everybody's initial thought right now anymore. So we really want to make sure that we are opening up and helping out the doors for some of our other students who may not want to jump into a 4-year university if that's just not the path that they're on right now. Our big one, now this is definitely going to be one for our One resource that we have available for our educators who are not specific to the high desert. This is our Speakers and Mentor Bureau. Pardon the nice, lovely stock photos here. So our Speakers and Mentor Bureaus, like I mentioned in the beginning, we have over 30 sponsoring partners from our industries up here in the high desert, and they want to share their knowledge with the students. So we have worked with them to compile a list that if an educator is looking for someone to talk about air quality, right now they can reach out to me and I can connect them to someone to come and do a classroom talk, a presentation, but I can also go ahead and some of them actually have job mentors, especially in our mining field. Our mining field really likes to be our job mentors. So, but this is something that I would definitely recommend reaching out. So much is, this is a direct way for your students to actually learn what is going on in the industry. So right now we're working up on our website so that it's a little bit easier for educators to just access without me being the middleman. But this is going to be the resource for our CTEs. Like I said, I've got wastewater, I've got mining, we've got national parks, we've got a plethora of industry professionals that can connect with your students virtually or in the classroom, or through being a job mentor or senior project mentor as well. And for those that aren't specific up in the high desert, I usually know a handful of people down in our Inland Empire area as well that we can make that connection for you. So if you're looking for a specific like wastewater down there, I can work on getting a connection for you down there as well. We do participate in career fairs. And what we do at our career fairs is we talk to the students about green jobs and looking at them and trying to expand their knowledge that, hey, it's not just marine biologists that are considered a green job anymore. There are so many other aspects to what we would consider an environmental job that we don't think about, you know. Everybody needs an electrician in their capacity. We need computer science people in their capacity. So just because it is an environmental organization, it doesn't mean that you have to have specific environmental knowledge. They are looking for other avenues as well because they've got a business to run and they want you to be part of that. So I wanted to throw this up there because this is our executive board. And these are the backbone behind me. As you can see, we have industry professionals on our board. So they know what they're looking for. We have public industry, we have educators, because we want to make sure we're meeting the educators' needs. And we also have government agencies as well. So we've got a plethora of knowledge and buy-in from everyone in our local area. So we're hitting what teachers want and what industry is looking for their next future employees. And just to reiterate, nothing that we do, we would be able to do without our sponsoring partners. And each one of these sponsoring partners are connections and resources that they're making available to the students. So recycling, I said, recycling is a great one. Advanced Disposal out in Hesperia, they've got the knowledge of what goes on in their field, and they are more than willing to share it through classroom speakers, through field trips. Same thing with any of these sponsors that you see on this slide. They're going to be more than willing to provide any information to help your students in any type of career path. And then lastly, this would be my contact information, except that phone number, but that one is supposed to be a 6. But the email and the website are accurate. So if you guys do want to reach out, to find out any resources available in your areas that MEEC can provide you, definitely feel free to reach out.
Okay, thank you, Samantha. Are there any, does anybody have any questions for Samantha?
Hi, Samantha. This is Carrie O'Neill. I was a former elementary teacher and actually had received some of the grant funding for environmental, the ENVIROBUS books. And so I was curious to kind of put it out there, like what grade levels do your grants cover?
Our grants cover K through 12.
Okay.
Throughout K through 12 public private homeschool. We are branching into a little bit of the TK, but because most of our grant applications do require standards, we always tell our TK teachers to put the kindergarten standards in there to help them out.
Awesome. And we can contact you for the applications and stuff like that?
Absolutely. Our applications for our grants
to me, I'd like to know
open
when
in the
you
end
have your
of
Maker
June.
Faire or your different competitions, your career fair and stuff like that.
Yes.
Is that going to be on your website?
Yeah, everything's going to be getting on our website and on our Facebook. But everything that we offer really starts kicking up in the beginning of August. So the grant applications will open in August. If you guys want to be in our mailing list, because we do a lot of email blast for those grants, let me know. We're switching over our email server right now, so we're kind of in a loophole. So don't join on the website yet. Email me directly and I can get you added to our list.
Okay, Samantha, I actually had a question too. When around what time of year is your Maker Faire?
Our Maker Faire typically is in the fall. However, since we are working with an adjustment period for this fall, we're going to kick that into March. So the first or second Saturday of March will actually be when our Maker Faire will be this year for the 2021-2022 school year.
Great. And the oven contest, the solar oven contest
is the second Saturday of May.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Did anybody else have a question for Samantha? Give some wait time. Okay. Well, if not, you have our email here, and I think you wanted to reiterate the phone number there was not.
Yes, the phone number is 760-245-1661, extension 6717.
Samantha, could you put that in the chat so they could just copy and paste it maybe? Okay, well, thank you very much, Samantha, for sharing your resources, and I'm sure people will be reaching out. I think we have our next exciting, I think I go back to Carol.
Okay, so Samantha, thank you very, very much. I was not aware of how many resources you have and how supportive you are in the region for job development and career exploration for our kiddos. So I'm hopeful that you'll have this surge of people who are going to take full advantage of these wonderful resources that you have.
Well, so thank you for letting me come in.
Oh, anytime. So the next presenter we have is Laurel, and she is going to be speaking to us about eSports. And that's something that as a county office, we've been trying to support districts with and kind of kick off. And she's the pro at explaining it far better than I could. So Laurel, I'm going to hand it off to you.
Oh, thank you, Carol, and thanks for having me here today. I actually have a guest with me. I'm going to introduce her in a moment, but first, I just want to see if anyone can recognize this. Let's see. Yes, that's the cello version from Nathan Chan. He's a cellist of some renown, and he has been going through and reimagining classic video game theme songs. So if you're on Apple Music or Spotify, check him out. He is an amazing cellist. I love classical music. So to me, it's kind of the best of both worlds. I thought we'd kick it off because I'm going to introduce my lovely and talented esports consultant that works with us, Bethany Thompson. She's with me today. Bethany, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Bethany. I'm working with the county as the esports consultant, but I work full-time in Apple Valley Unified, and my office is at Apple Valley High School.
And we are so excited to be here with you today and talk about esports and really kind of give a little bit of a primer of to what esports is and what it's about, how we're looking at how it's good for kids. So I'm going to jump into these screens. Now, I had a wonderful conversation recently with Kim. And so Kim, I hope you don't mind if I drag you into this conversation a little bit too. But my name is Laurel Aguilar-Kirchhoff. I am the Digital Learning Project Specialist here in our Digital Learning Services Department for San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools. And as was mentioned by Carol at the beginning, esports is one of the 4 major areas that we in Digital Learning Services are really focusing on this upcoming year. And we're going to tell you why in a moment, because it's more than just Super Mario Brothers and video games. There's actually quite a bit to it. But our initiatives are actually blended and personalized learning, computer science, digital citizenship, and esports. So that's what we're working on to really help our students thrive and be successful in our county. So Bethany, do you want to kick this off with talking about what esports actually is?
Sure, I'll go ahead and start to talk about esports. So can I get in the chat maybe like on a scale of 1 to 3, 3 being you watch esports, you've been to an esports arena to watch esports live, and a 1 being maybe you've heard of esports before. Can I get in the chat maybe where everybody is here? Because then I'll know where I'm going to start. I always kind of want to get a familiarity of how much people know about esports before I start to talk, so that I know whether I'm talking to people who know all the words or people who know some of the words. All right. So esports is online video games. That's what it is. But it is it has become an industry that is expected to have more viewers and participants in 2023 than traditional sports. More people are watching and playing esports than traditional sports. And it is a huge push in both high schools and colleges for students to be doing esports. In our own sort of backyard, UC Irvine has one of the major esports arenas and teams in California. And we're really lucky that Mark Deppy, he's actually from Apple Valley. So we're really lucky to have that resource around for us. There's a lot of money, a lot of scholarships, and a lot of different areas of esports. So when we look at esports related professions, we're talking about first the people who are playing the esports, but then there are all these other professions that go into creating this industry. And so I wanted to talk just briefly about that, because this last year, my office is at Apple Valley High School, so I was able to work with our esports team coaches as they sort of did their first full season of esports. And it was more than just getting the kids to play. They were trying to stream. So the entire Computer and Media Pathway Academy, our Camp Academy, they were involved in learning how to stream using OBS. I hope I'm using the right word. OBS, learning how all of that works. Not to mention the social media posting of all the games and the matches and the people. It's an entire industry. So even if you don't have even if you're starting out, you can still build in your CTE and pathway academies into the esports esports initiative. So this is just an example of all the different ways that esports is all the different professions involved in esports. All right, should we go to the next one?
Yeah, and I just wanted to kind of emphasize that we're talking about, this isn't just video games. Like it's so much more, but there's going to be another component to it as well. But I just want to emphasize a $1.5 billion industry. So these are opportunities for our students to make connections and look at careers and college in ways that maybe they never ever had imagined that they could participate in. And we're going to give you some real life examples coming up. This is just one snapshot. And there's going to be a lot of overlap with other industries as well, like computer science. So we are huge proponents of doing what is good for kids. We are focused for digital learning service and for our whole county, as you all know, is to make more equitable and more inclusive opportunities for all of our students to participate, both for their social emotional growth and learning, but also for the academic outcomes. And so we're very, very excited because eSports does provide a more inclusive standpoint, and you can see this is from an article from Forbes that actually came out last year. But it's been more inclusive because it allows more students, more people to be able to play on the same teams, participants to come from various social backgrounds, and also demographics, and really of all different abilities can play together. And what our hope and what we are seeing in the data that's being collected is that it's connecting students to school, and especially those students that might not be connected in other ways. And it gives them that hook in ways to come to school when they might not actually have that. And Bethany has a really great example of this from her personal experience and seeing this in action this year.
So I actually got to eSports via a weird path. I was the coordinator of our after school program for 10 years. We had an after school program at Apple Valley High School, and we had eSports in our after school program. We called it arcade, but students came in every day and they could play video games in the arcade. I have 10 years of data for our school showing that students who showed up for arcade did better in school, they had better attendance. And I had kids who were there until 5 o'clock on the day before a vacation that we had to kick out, who were only at school and playing. I saw special needs students playing with AP students all together and experiencing the same things. I'm not a competitive person. I dislike all games, of all of them, but I wholeheartedly believe that eSports is good for kids. And I will say it over and over and over. eSports is good for kids for all of these reasons. It's a connection to school that many students have not been able to have. And it's a great way to get students who have not necessarily been competitive competing. And then the social emotional part is even more, we have this opportunity with eSports to really focus on students' social emotional. What do they do when they get frustrated? How do they manage that frustration? Are they going to throw down that controller? Are they going to throw it across the room? Are they going to throw it at another person? Or are they going to figure out how to manage that themselves? Like, you think, oh, well, Bethany's just making stuff up. No, those are all things that happen in after school arcade. So these are ways that we can really teach kids to function in a digital world through the eSports. So I'm going to say again, I really believe that eSports is good for kids. I'm not a gamer, but eSports is good for kids. Laura, I'll let you do this part.
So we get a lot of questions about eSports, especially when we talk about the educational structure of it. What we are proposing for San Bernardino County and what Bethany and I are really spearheading is not looking at this as an academic program, although certainly we would encourage the exploration of CTE and ROP pathways and academies, and we would encourage all of our districts to explore that and what fits best for their district. we provide at the county level more of an umbrella. And so we are going to show you some of the resources that we have available for you in a moment. But we're looking at a bigger picture, and then we're giving autonomy to all of our districts and all of our partnerships on how they want to run their esports programs that's going to fit them and their needs of their students the best. The structures that we can provide is we can provide all of the paperwork and documentation so that you know that it's adhering to student data privacy laws, both FERPA, COPA, SIPA, all of the ones that we obviously want to adhere to. All of the materials and paperwork that we're able to provide have been vetted by our F3 attorneys that we contract with San Bernardino County. So you can feel very confident that everything that we have has been vetted by our attorneys to make sure that it does adhere to those laws, but also protects and indemnifies both the county and the districts and completes all of the holds harmless agreements, et cetera. But like, as I mentioned, we will be hosting, and Bethany and I just set the schedule for next year, opportunities for students to play. So if there isn't we know we're still in the building phase for all of our districts, all of our partnerships, and we're just starting out, and that's okay. We encourage everyone to go slow, to go fast, but we're going to be providing between 16 and 20 different tournaments this upcoming school year for the 21-22 school year for students to have the opportunity to get in and compete and play and experience esports. So that's our educational structure. We're following all of the NASIF and CIF rules and code of conduct. If you're not familiar with NASIF, that's the North American Scholastic Esports Federation, which has been around for quite a while now, probably longer than any of us would have ever suspected. And we do have a code of conduct. It provides a really great opportunity to talk to students also about digital citizenship, but you can see the two focuses here. For NASIF, it's really focusing on critical communication, collaboration, and problem solving. And for CIF, their 4 pillars are diversity and inclusion, curriculum and job skills, character building and teamwork, and comprehensive health and wellness. So everything that we're doing at this county level is really to support both the NASIF and CIF pillars. And so you can kind of see here what we're going to be working with coming up. NASIF and CIF both have PC gaming. They particularly have students participate in tournaments, which you can sign up for. We kind of recommend this pathway. Oh, actually, I don't want to get ahead of myself, Bethany. Don't let me get ahead of myself there. But for us, we're going to be doing both console and Nintendo Switch gaming. We're going to have Smash Ultimate, which we've already been having this last year, and Rocket League for students. These are both very popular games. You don't have to know anything about gaming to support esports, by the way. You don't have to know what Rocket League is. You don't have to know what League of Legends is. You can trust us that we vetted these games and that we are providing these opportunities because we know that they're appropriate for students. Just to kind of give you a little background of where everyone was a year ago, and we're going to be sending out a survey. We have a meeting in August that we would highly encourage anyone and everyone that is participating in esports or wants to participate in esports to come to this meeting. Basically, over 55 of our respondents from the county districts were not ready to start. We're hoping that has increased along with the awareness of esports, but also the push for esports that is coming from not only our county superintendent, but from superintendents from our districts around our county as well, because we do know, and the data is showing how much it's good for kids. So we'll be interesting to see where we were at. This is where we were. Everyone is kind of at the starting point, and that's okay. This is what we were able to do last year. Bethany did a fantastic job of really taking this program and doing outreach. And I will mention these numbers are during a worldwide pandemic. So we had a lot of accessibility issues and connectivity issues and all of the issues we had for getting kids online to go to school. We had the same thing, but we had 12 schools in our county that participated regularly. We did 4 pilots, 10 Smash tournaments. Actually, I think we did a few more than that. We had 32 students that played pretty regularly, which doesn't sound like a lot, but this is a way that we looked at it. That's 32 kids that made that connection to school during a pandemic, right? That's 32 kids, including one of Bethany's that worked so hard to get their grades up so they could participate. It was 32 kids. That was better than 0. So what we're hoping is we're going to have much more than that next year, but we're starting out. And to be fair too, we had an entire in-person eSports competition set up for, and I know, wait for it, April of 2020. So the pivoting and going completely virtual was a little hard, but we're excited to take where we were at and go forward. We have a lot of information, and I actually want to take you to our website so you can see what this looks like, and all of the resources that we have here for you. When you come here, you can see on the side navigation bar, we have a lot of literature on why eSports, what we're doing countywide, the benefits, some articles. So if you want to share this with anyone that you think might be interested, this is great. How you can get started. As I mentioned, we have all of the sample guidelines that have been provided by our attorneys, Fagan, Friedman, and Fullfrost. So these are available, and for any district or partnership in our county, you are able to use this verbiage. Just reach out to me and we can get you the non-PDF version, but you can read through it. We also have a responsible player agreement that is required for all of our county participation, and you may use the same document for any district level participation as well. And again, I keep stressing that it's been vetted by our attorneys, but just because that is something we get asked a lot. We also have our tech information. So if you're like, oh, how do we even get this started? We have frequently asked questions. If you don't know what League of Legends or Rocket League is, we have some FAQs here. You can read like, what is it? Here's a Rocket League 101. And then we have the game licensing, technical support specs, all of the things that you would need in order to set this up. So we try to make it as one-stop shopping as possible. We do require, and I'm going to have Bethany kind of walk you through the tournament aspect really briefly, but we do require that every school or district team has a coach or a teacher that is specifically connected to that team. It's very important for us for communication. And so we have our coaches workroom here. I wanted to call it Coach's Corner, but that seemed proprietary to a few places. So we're a workroom, whatever. But again, we have all of the forms, the mandatory responsible player agreement, the registration process to get your club going to play with us. And do you want to talk just briefly about that process, Bethany?
Sure. So to have students participate with us, the schools need to register. There's a form to fill out on the website to register. We need that because the coaches will need to verify that the students are eligible based on the coach's criteria. We have no countywide eligibility requirements other than the school or the school district would decide, but we need the coaches to verify that students are eligible to participate. We also want to make sure that there aren't students who are just registering on their own, that they are connected with a coach and a team. So they register with us. Once the school has registered, then they will get a roster that they'll fill out for me. Then the students will fill out a player form. The player form will include the newly updated responsible player agreement. And then once the students have done that, then they're eligible to play. All of our matches right now are for 13 and older. They're organized through a website called smash.gg. Basically what smash.gg does is it does the seeding and the brackets, and it allows students. So for students to be able to compete, they have to be able to talk to each other on the internet to give each other the codes. for them to connect digitally through the game. And when we're talking, this last year we did just Smash Brothers, that tournament. So the students have to be able to build an arena and a battle stage, and then they share that code. So the website smash.gg allows them to communicate with each other. And then I, as the administrator of that match, can see all of the communication between the students. And so the students register through there, and then they log in and they play together. And the smash.gg also takes care of the seeding, and it randomly places them with each other. So it's the first part with registering the school with us only has to be done once. And the students only fill out that player form once. For each match that they would play, they would have to register for each one. So what we're planning on doing is running a Smash Brothers tournament and a Rocket League tournament once a month for next year. And so students would have to register for each one. And that's just for us. The process to get signed up through NASIF or through CIF is a little bit different. I'm familiar with the NASIF process because I was working with the eSports coaches at Apple Valley High School. So I do know how that works. But it's a completely different setup for how they set up their tournaments.
And there, we know that this is a lot of information that we're giving you. We completely recognize, especially so we've lived in this world for like the past year, and we don't expect in like a half an hour to have you be able to get all of this information. So what we would love to kind of wrap up with today is just to let you know that, we are looking for partnerships. We are looking for so we can provide more incentives for students to play. We're looking for any interesting or ideas about partnerships. We're completely open to that because we do want to eventually be able to offer scholarships to both students and school sites so they can continue to build their esports. Bethany has reached out to Cal State San Bernardino as well. They're in the process of building an esports arena. They do have actually a pretty robust esports team going on, and I know that we do a lot of work in our county with Cal State San Bernardino as well. So we're excited to bring you more information on that as well. So we invite you to explore our website, and please, our contact information, and I know that Bethany put this in the chat, so you have the link to the slides, and you also have our link to our website, but please don't ever hesitate to reach out to us. Bethany's email is literally esports@sbcss.net. And she is wonderful and fabulous. We are so entirely grateful for all of the hard work that Bethany has put in with our students. And we would love to also encourage you, if you already have a program, like I believe Valley View ROP does, to encourage you to get the word out so we can get our students playing. That is our whole purpose, is we want to get these kids in, we want to get them playing. Even if a district is not quite ready to host their own tournaments, please know that you can always come to ours. As long as they meet whatever eligibility requirements are there for your district, their kids are welcome to come play with us. So there's a lot here. Again, I linked in a glossary of key terms that was a little bit for me, and I thought, well, if it's useful for me, it might help everyone else. So again, thank you so much for this time for us to be able to be here and tell you a little bit more about what we're doing at the county for esports. And if you have any questions, I know we're at the end of our time, but please don't, like I said, don't hesitate to reach out. I think we have like 2 minutes if there's any questions. I know it's a lot. All right. I know wait time in Zoom is always hard, but if you think of something later, please, you can always reach us, or Carol knows where we are. Kim and Carol know we're right down the hall, so you can always find us. All right, well, thank you so much, and I'll turn it back over to Carol.
Thank you.
Thank you, you two. That was awesome. And it is kind of like drinking from the fire hose. So we get that, but we really wanted to make sure that particularly this group was aware of these opportunities and the resources that they've pulled together and the support that we have through the County Office of Ed to support our districts, particularly at this time as districts are looking for other options and supports for our students as we start coming back to school. I do know that we are working with Bob Murphy in our alt-ed world to start an eSports program after school. And that will be starting for the next school year as well. So we're hopeful that that will have a positive impact like it has on all other students that have participated in it. So Laurel and Bethany, they are fantastic resources. So thank you, ladies, very much. And please don't hesitate to reach out. And if you misplace their information, just get a hold of the Alliance, and the Alliance can very quickly connect you to Laurel and Bethany. So thank you. So with that, we are going to move on to our next presenter, who is Rose Gonzalez from San Bernardino City Unified School District. And some of you may remember that at the tail end of 2020, we launched the micro internship toolkit, where we discussed the pilots that we had done and the resource we had pulled together so that districts could utilize that as a means to connect our business partners to our students, utilizing the technology platforms. And so it really did kind of level the playing field a little bit for those students who have difficulty traveling to internship sites, and also so that they could start building their social capital in these small cohorts. The nice thing about the toolkit is it's designed to be adapted to whatever a district needs to do or a business partner needs to do. And that's exactly what's happened in San Bernardino City Unified. It didn't start out that way. It was actually them just approaching Cal State for a very simple request to actually do these micro internships. And then how it started to morph after that was very innovative. So we've asked Rose to just share with you real quickly, like 4 or 5, 10 minutes on what San Bernardino City Unified is doing and how that came to be and how it's working out. Rose, it's all yours.
Thank you so much. So let me start presenting. So I'm Rose Gonzalez. I'm the Workforce Development Coordinator for San Bernardino City Unified School District. And with me today is Laura Smith. She's our Link Learning Program Specialist. We have 2 objectives for today. We wanted to talk a little bit about how we're bringing micro internships to scale in San Bernardino City Unified School District, and then talk specifically about an amazing partnership that our program specialist, Laura Smith, was able to put together. And we really see this as kind of like a model that we can follow and maybe create more partnerships similar to this one. So we started off by learning about this micro internship toolkit that San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools put together. Shazad has become our best friend, not just for micro internships, but also for work-based learning. But we have done 2 workshops for our teachers and our program specialists. And so far we have 40 of our teachers that have been trained to use the micro internship toolkit. And the really cool thing about it is, you can adapt it to your own needs. So some of our sites, some of our program specialists and our teachers have really morphed it into something that I didn't even imagine before. But this is the coolest part. So with Cal State San Bernardino, we have developed this partnership. This is really all Laura Smith. So our Link Learning Program Specialist, Laura Smith, reached out to one of the people in our employee development department who works with student teachers and Cal State San Bernardino to help students or help credential candidates get their student teaching done and get internships in our district. So that from there, those little connections like morphed into this huge concept where we've been planning with Cal State San Bernardino to have micro internships for our students. And the credentialing program at Cal State San Bernardino sees this as a win-win. Our students can get experience interacting with these industry professionals who are working on their credentials. And then at the same time, the people from Cal State San Bernardino their students that are getting their credentials are going to be getting interactions with students, and they're going to get experience teaching and practicing some different concepts that they're learning in their credential program. So here's a list of the topics that we've had for micro internships with Cal State San Bernardino so far this year. And what's really cool about this is, you know, when we met with Cal State San Bernardino, we basically talked to the people who are going to be facilitating the micro internships and asked them, what are you passionate about? What's something that you think high school students can connect with? So we know that the students that are participating want to go into the field of education, but what is it about your experience that's unique, or what is it about your experience that you think might be helpful for other students to kind of pull from? So we had men of color, early childhood education, and that also included special education, navigating careers in education. This fourth one here, the pursuing higher education as a first generation college student, that one was super touching, very amazing. The conversations that happened between the students and that facilitator were awesome. And then skills in teaching. So here's like an example of one of our flyers, and this was from one of our sessions. We had our facilitator was somebody working on their administrative credential. So this was like a graduate student. Here's another one where we're talking about, you know, how to communicate with students and how to communicate with parents. Here's the flyer that we had for our Men of Color series. And this is the cool part. So Cal State San Bernardino for the 21-22 school year is opening up this concept of having micro internships to all of their credential candidates. So they have 200 credential candidates for next school year, and they're going to be able to use the micro internships for their fieldwork hours. So we are going to have so many for next school year. And Laura, I just want to pause and make sure that I'm letting you jump in to tell your part of the story.
You're doing amazing. This is super exciting, and I love sharing about it.
Okay. Do you want to add anything from any of the ones that you've been in on?
No, but the only thing, the partnership is with Cal State San Bernardino, but of course this blossomed already with a future speech language pathologist who is also did a micro internship on speech. Oh, I jumped ahead. So, so yeah, it kind of even pushed into, and we had a bunch of kids show up to hear about being a speech teacher too. It was super cool.
It was amazing. And there was a lot of interest in that speech language pathology. So that's one that we think we're going to repeat again next year. And so one of the things that Laura put together was this really cool little handout to share with our potential facilitators for micro internships. Just some suggested topics that they could use. There were some of the Cal State students who knew right off the bat what they were going to do. Like, that they didn't need to meet with us ahead of time. They didn't need to ask us any questions. And then we had, a couple that said, okay, what are some ideas? So Laura put together this awesome handout to share with them, to share some different ideas that they could use. And then I wanted to bring this back. How many of you guys recognize this? This is the all aspects of industry, right? That we're supposed to be teaching in all of our CTE pathways. I kind of thought back to this when I was thinking about potential topics for micro internships. So this was another thing that we shared with the facilitators to say, hey, when you think about your career, there's all different types of areas that you could talk about. You don't just have to talk about, the customer service skills. Look at all these other areas that you could also cover. And that's again our speech language pathology one. We also had a great series with ThinkWise Credit Union on marketing and with our digital arts pathway. And then this is another partnership that's blossoming. We're going to be working with JP Morgan Chase and 13 of their branches to have micro internships next school year for all of our business and marketing pathways. And we're also working with Uplift San Bernardino. So they're going to be taking on and hosting some micro internships, but they're also helping us to find partners for more micro internships. And that's the end of our presentation. Thank you so much.
Does anyone have any questions for Rose or Laura? There's one in the chat from Kelly. Is there a cost associated with the teacher micro internships?
We did pay our teachers to, for their time outside of their regular workday, if they were helping to organize and get kids ready and that kind of a thing. We paid them, we had timesheets for them for that. But other than that, not really. We're incorporating it into our work-based learning. So all the people that plan work-based learning normally, this is like another tool they can use to plan work-based learning.
Well, not hearing any questions or seeing any other questions in the chat box, I just want to thank you two for the work that you're doing and for sharing that so that others can also take those concepts and kind of run with it. And that was kind of the whole intent of the toolkit, was just to give just a basic foundation that then people could take and adapt to what they need. And it's really cool when it starts adapting to what the employer's needs are and that they're allowed to have voice. And so really, if you're looking to building the network, as we all are, everyone on this call is always looking to constantly build our network, then really allowing that voice from the employer or community side of the house does that. It helps, them be rooted in the work that we do. So congratulations, ladies. I'm expecting to see fabulous things. I know you're trying to take over the world. So ladies, you're speaking my language. So thank you very much. With that, I'm going to switch it over now to Michael. And he's going to just really briefly let you know what's going on with the community college campaign.
Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to share how the Alliance for Education is working with the California community colleges in their current campaign to really promote diversity and really promote the information at the K-12 level and beyond. Currently, the Alliance for Education is one of 12 partners across the Southern California who are currently promoting information on how the California Community College wants to really change its face, really wants to appeal to all of the markets across Southern California. Currently, we are in phase 2. The California Community College has really made strides in trying to promote its efforts to repackage its offerings, repackage the way that it markets its at schools throughout the state. The current phase that we are in now will end in September. And so we're looking forward to also promoting out through phase 3 into next year. Some of the program goals are right in front of you. We really promote the opportunity to work with our community-based organizations, conducting outreach, opportunities to promote the awareness and enrollment to diverse and hard to reach audiences, and also increase the uptake of community college resources, programs, and services. Here are the 4 areas that we are covering. The Alliance for Education is really interested in promoting that a school to career pipeline. And so the career education piece is huge for us, applying for college. There's a lot of information that we're providing to our middle school and high schools this spring and summer. Also information about applying for financial aid and the ADT transfer option. Again, they have provided incredible digital assets that we've been able to make available to agencies and business partners throughout the Inland Empire. It is incredible to see how they have put a different face on their offerings for our foster youth, the career education programs, their I Can Afford College programs as well. I wanted to also share with you some of our efforts. As you can see, we've reached out in many ways in the virtual world, as well as promoting opportunities for engagement right on the campuses of our local community colleges. In the Twitter world, we've reached out to over 9,000 people who have received or touched some kind of information concerning the community college information we've provided. We've also had virtual sessions with Crafton Hills College and San Bernardino Valley College, where we've had the K-12 community connect and learn about the fields of radiology, aeronautics, and the machinist programs. We've also had some virtual sessions and virtual offerings that we've been able to provide that pertinent information out to our partners. One other thing we do is we also are able to provide swag and physical assets for your organization or for your agency. And so this is a snapshot of some of the thousands of assets that we've already been able to provide at some of the events that have occurred throughout the spring for foster youth, for family engagement network at all 3 regions in the San Bernardino County area. So there are some ways that you can take advantage of this information. You can post the California Community College information on social media. You can tag the Alliance. You can also feature the messages from the California Community College on your company newsletter. You can connect with me to find out ways that how we can provide swag for your next event, either in person or virtually, and also ways that you can we can share those digital and physical assets to your tailored audience. And so that was my presentation today. Please feel free to reach out to me if you are interested in a presentation or any of the digital assets that the community college system has made available to me. Thank you so much.
I want to encourage everyone to take advantage of that. If you need to share this kind of information at any of your events and such, Michael is the person to connect with, and then he will connect with the community colleges. I can attest that there have been thousands of pieces of swag that have left this building. There are times where I think Michael's just the delivery man, because he's got boxes and boxes of shirts and flyers and all kinds of stuff that the community colleges are providing. And he's out there delivering them to everybody. So definitely reach out. I see Rose, I have already reached out. So he is your contact for that. And if we don't have it, he knows who to contact, and he will definitely keep you in the loop on how we're going to get what we need to for you. So be thinking of those things for your events, for your classrooms, for your career centers, for any and everything that you're considering, so that we can help support and provide those materials. And so with that, Yvonne, if you could go back to the original PowerPoint. So here's my part. It'll be quick. So if you'll remember correctly, last couple months ago, I asked for a survey. I'd asked for people to fill out this really short survey. I think there was like 4 questions on it. And basically what we were trying to do is identify the priorities, the career readiness priorities our districts had at the forefront, understanding that this is going to be a very crazy summer and year for every one of our district partners. And so not so much to add to the plate, but more so to look at what these general themes were across our region, and to see if our efforts were aligning with some of what you had asked for. So, or what you had told us that you guys are working towards. So next slide, please. So these were the general themes that came out of the answers and the responses that were supplied through this survey. So pathway completion seems to be a really big one, trying to get students to understand pathway completion, and tied very closely to that is a barrier that will be on our next slide, which is basically understanding the importance of pathway completion. Internships, work-based learning, that is always going to be something that we're all focused on and looking forward to see what other opportunities are there. As you can tell, the micro internship toolkit is being utilized very well all across the region. And so that's one way to be addressing it. I will tell you that county schools is also through the Alliance. We are also working on how we get youth apprenticeships up and running and partnering with everyone from the state, from the feds, from our community colleges to see if we can't coordinate around that. So that's something that's a work in progress. It's a very steep learning curve, just going to say, but it is definitely a priority of ours. So that will fall in line. As well as you saw with our partner spotlight, identifying partners, our community partners, our business partners who definitely want to connect to our K-12 system, as well as oftentimes our community college and university system. So we're doing that. We just had a meeting yesterday with another big employer in the region, and that reached out to us and said, how do we do this? So just know that those things will continue, so they will align with your efforts. The career and college continuum, I'm actually going to pick on Dr. Peterson and ask her to explain that because I think it's really, really interesting.
Well, thanks. Now, our career and college continuum, I know some districts already have this, and it's just making sure that I know, for the middle school, high school levels, we all have our experiences that are in place for our students, but really at the elementary levels, making something consistent across elementary and even middle school. So 2 experiences that students should have at each grade level at a minimum with regard to their exploration or understanding of careers and colleges at those levels.
Thank you. See, you explained it far better than I could have. So in those efforts, and I know that a lot of the districts are looking at that as well, please keep in mind the at-home work-based learning lessons have been manipulated for elementary as well. We have a library of elementary lessons as well that hopefully will continue to support these efforts to drill career education down into the elementary levels. We really, and on the Alliance end, we really want the vocabulary to begin at the elementary level, so that as the kids are becoming used to terms like what's labor market, like do they understand that, and so that they can ask questions they need to make educated decisions about where they want to head and where they want to place their skill sets. So we're really excited that, and we will continue to do work that helps to support districts in their efforts to drill down into the elementary levels as well. A through G courses, you will see on the ROP website, the SBC ROP website. ROP is part of the Alliance. That we have now a new website, and all of our courses are on that website. It is open to everyone, and we are in the process of getting them A through G approved. You'll see a number of them already approved. There are a bunch still in the queue with UC that we're awaiting approval on, but that is something that we will continue to work on so that if districts want to start a new program, rather than having to start from scratch, they can utilize these outlines as just a jumping off point, either just adopt them and pull them into their A through G course lists, or they can at least have some place to start, go out to their local partners and start to manipulate from there. So that's a big deal. We're constantly working on that library to make sure that it is aligned. It is very much standards aligned to make sure that as many as possible are A through G, and where appropriate and possible to also be working with the community colleges on the articulation pieces as well. Industry certifications and badging, that's always this thing that I'm always going to be trying to figure out. So we definitely appreciate knowing that the districts are also looking at that. And then data collection, I think, is everyone's concern every year. How can we prove that what we're doing is actually having an impact? Next slide, please. The barriers that you all identify to this are right here. These are just general themes. Staffing, that's pretty standard every single year. Master scheduling is also another tricky one, especially in the coming back from this pandemic and this year online. If you look at the fourth one where it says conflicting priorities with learning loss in the core content areas. So we know that's going to be a struggle for our CTE programs and our pathways, and especially if you're trying to do pathway completion. But the students are struggling because there's learning loss that we're trying to mitigate in the core subject matters. We just know that it's just going to be messy. It's going to be messy. So we understand that that's a barrier. Families' lack of understanding of what pathways are, that, it's communication. Stephanie always says communication is a bugger, because every time you think you've got it, someone shows you that you don't. And so really marketing and such is what I take away from that as a barrier. And so that's what I've filed in the back of my head of how do we address that through our work to help support your work. And then just what everyone's dealing with, pandemic fatigue, right? Pandemic fatigue. And I should put on there also having to drink through the fire hose for all the stuff that's now being required of the school systems, all of the school systems. I have a small side note on the side. We did have a request for CTE grant training. We do host, I have two of them on the call today, but we do host the pathway coordinators for the community colleges, and their position directly connects the community colleges and the districts that those community colleges serve, the K-12 districts. So I was able to tap into one of ours because I know exactly which district is making that request. But I would say if you have that request, just please reach out to us and we can make sure that we connect you if you don't already know who to connect to. The 5 pathway coordinators for our region are very active. And they are always reaching out, but we also understand that sometimes there's a changeover in staffing. And so sometimes that can get lost in the shuffle. So always just reach out to us and we can tell you exactly who has been hired to support your school district and or your community college. And I think that's that for that. So are there any questions with regards to these survey results or any comments? I just want to show appreciation for all of the presenters today for sharing these resources with all of us. I want to encourage all of you to please take advantage of these resources. Our next meeting is until October. That does not mean you cannot reach out to us until then. We have partners that are constantly wanting to connect, particularly with this body of people, because they're trying to get resources to our students. And so if we don't pull everyone together in a group, we do individual brokering of meetings and connections constantly. And there may be, and I'm going to anticipate there will be times where we have partner spotlights that are just not even part of this meeting. We're just going to run a partner spotlight because we have a partner that wants to get busy, get connected quicker and not have to wait till October or February. So be looking for that. And if you have any ideas or anything, please share. And once again, thank you all for your time. And for that, I'm just going to say thank you very much. And we will be working with you soon, I'm sure.